Okay, everybody, we are live on YouTube. Welcome to everybody that joins us in Zoom and on YouTube. We have some different students in the audience in Zoom today.
Yes, we
So
do.
I'm going to ask that everybody stays muted until we call for questions, and we will officially get started in about 4 minutes, 3 minutes. We'll get started right at the top of the hour, and we will have everything start off. Hello, everybody. Give me just a second. We're going to get started. All right. Hello, everybody. Welcome to week 2 of Apple App Development. We have a good group here in Zoom today, which is
Michael, you need to
exciting.
start recording.
Yep, we are live on YouTube, but I am going to go ahead and start the recording
I just wanted to
on.
remind you.
We won't probably use that recording, but
Always a
um,
good of a backup.
yep, it is good to have a backup. So we have a good group here with us. I'm glad everybody is here. Um, we will probably go for the 2 hours. We have a lot of content to go over. So very exciting stuff. So, all right, I was just looking at any chats, and that's great. We got some good chat messages. Um, all right. Yes, we will be talking about playgrounds and things like that throughout this. We're going to briefly cover them today, um, things like that. So, um, I want to cover a few things that came up last class in the introduction tonight. I'm really happy to see other folks here that were not here last week. That's to me exciting. So I'm glad y'all are here, and I hope that the what we talk about is useful. And if you have not caught up, then you'll probably want to check out the video on YouTube from last week's course, last week's lesson. Um, I thought it was great. I enjoyed teaching that and all of the great questions that we had. So this week I think is going to be great as well. Back with me, I have Taylor Arndt that will be driving the computer setup as we did last week. Say hello, Taylor.
Hello, everyone.
And when we take questions, we have our wonderful Zoom host with us this week, Becky Knob. Hi, Becky.
Hello.
It's good to have you with us. So, Becky is also a student of the class. She has a iPad that I'm sure using the playgrounds features and all that's going to be very useful for her. Um, so we're going to cover a lot of content today. This is the second of 3 lessons using Xcode, and while we won't be covering Swift Playgrounds on iPad, we'll be talking about playgrounds and things like that during this class. Um, one of the things that I want to bring up that happened the last class is Taylor was trying to run an app that we created on her phone. And do you remember what the cause of that? You just had to revoke your certificate, right? And then just go re-add it. Was that what you had to do?
So, kind of, the certificate, when I tried to run the app the first time, it said it was incomplete. So, what I actually had to do is just simply go into the preferences and then, go under team, certificate, all that jazz, and just hit add new. When I did that, it instantly solved the problem. There was no revoking because apparently the certificate was never made.
Oh, okay.
Yep.
That makes sense. Okay. Um, I want to take this opportunity for anybody. Well, first off, let's do this. I want to point out that we've had 20 people take. Um, I know several people have taken the prerequisites test, and we did fix it. At least we need to fix one of the options because it still says
I fixed
option
that
one.
already.
Okay. And also, we fixed where everybody was able to edit it and all of those things. So that has been resolved. Looking this evening, I saw that 20 people have taken the week 1 quiz, which is great. Um, and guys, I would really recommend if you're having some trouble, study a little bit more before you take the quiz.
Yep.
Because we saw several 8 out of 10, 9 out of 10, 10 out of 10s, but we also saw some 6 out of 10s. So we put out a lot of material and we talk about pretty much, well, the quizzes are directly taken from the content. We use AI and we feed all of the data and everything that we put in to generate the quizzes. So it is definitely from the data from what you learn in the course. So keep those things in mind and just be careful when you take the quiz. Just take your time. Don't rush through it.
It's not
And
timed.
right, it's not timed. It's an open book test as
Yes,
well. So keep those things in mind. And if you do have questions, it's not like we're grading you because you're taking a college course. This is for your benefit completely. It's a free course, and that's why we're here, is to support you guys in learning more about app development. That's the whole point of this, right? So keep those things in mind, and let's all enjoy this. This doesn't have to be a hard thing to learn or to get into. This can be a hobby. This can be a career, and so enjoy it if it's something that you like to do. Okay, that's my biggest advice there. I've been doing this stuff since before we have the Swift programming language. We had Objective C, and we built our interfaces with XIB files or nib
Oh.
files, which were not accessible. And you could have done it with Objective C, but it's not very fun. But okay, let's go ahead and
Michael, really quickly, I want to add about the quizzes. There is an outline. It's called Week 1 Notes. Those are a document. It has all of the notes from class in a textual form. And hint, hint, wink, wink, the quiz answers are in there. And I would highly, highly, highly suggest that you go in there to study. It's going to happen every week. There's going to be notes, and that way you guys can study it, and it will have all the content from the lecture.
thank you, Taylor.
You're very welcome.
Okay. I would like to take hands if anybody has questions from the content that we have covered so far. Also, one thing I'll mention before we take those hands, go ahead and put them up if you like. We are also doing office hours, and Taylor is putting those on YouTube as well. We're also doing this class on YouTube as public so that we can get captions. So please keep those things in mind as you ask your questions. We are live streaming this. So yeah.
Yeah. In addition, there is a playlist on the main YouTube channel. So not my YouTube channel, the Techopolis one. And on that playlist, it has Apple App Development course. It has both the lecture from last week as well as the office hours where we talked about configuring your voiceover setup for you voiceover users. And all of the lectures / the recorded office hours when I do workshops will be in that playlist. So I highly, highly recommend that you look at that and that you can save it if you want to your YouTube so that way you know when it gets updated, if that is an option you would like to take advantage of. Of course, everything will also be put in Classroom as well.
Yep. And we divide those up by week. So does anybody have any questions? I have not seen any hands come up. Becky, have I missed something?
No raised hands, Michael.
All right. I'll give you guys a minute or so. If you have questions, raise your hand. If you don't understand something, raise your hand. We want to make sure that people are caught up and that you're comfortable with the content. I mean, we built time into this thing for you guys, so.
Yep.
Okay. Looks like we got a hand.
Yes, we do. So you actually have two raised hands.
Oh, wow.
Hold on a second. Okay, so you have Mark iPhone. And
Okay, go ahead.
you have one more. Oh, you've got three. You have Finton
take-
and you also have Chelsea Cook. So there's
Yep.
your three raised hands.
Let's go ahead, Marv, go ahead and ask your question.
Hi there. Hello. Great course. In Xcode, you have the canvas. And do you actually place, like, say you wanted to put, and this may be beyond where we've gotten yet, but it might give us a feel for where we're going. Say you want to put a text field or a button on that canvas, and you go in and you can explore that canvas with VoiceOver. And I know one of the areas that it says is safe area. So do you
Oh.
actually
Oh.
place things on the canvas, or is the canvas just something that Xcode places for you.
You know what? I'm really glad you brought this up. You are jumping ahead a little bit. However, I'm always astounded by what Apple reports to the user in these things because it just told me that the canvas may not be completely useless after all because, and we'll talk about safe areas through the course, but they are areas like your status bar is outside the safe area. Your the home horizontal line is outside the safe area. And so the fact that it tells you where, like, if controls are in or out of the safe area is actually pretty cool. I didn't know it did that. So I'm going to have to reevaluate how I look at the canvas because
I didn't
I,
either.
I
voiceover settings activity
Oh,
window.
sorry. Sorry.
Coastal
I usually tell people to turn off the canvas, but I may rethink that.
Well, I know in some of the things I've learned and tried to do, I've actually tried to drop things and buttons and things in the canvas.
You
And I
cannot
wasn't
do
sure,
that.
do I put it in the safe area? Well, I wasn't really successful anyway, but
Yep, you cannot do that. It's mainly a preview where you can look to kind of see the order of things and where things are in the canvas. It's kind of a hot reload feature that we'll talk about when we get to Swift UI.
all right, thank you.
Chelsea,
Hi, Michael. I'm really excited to be here. This is Chelsea. So I am almost done with the week 1 lecture and going through the troubleshooting steps for all the certificate stuff. So hopefully I'll be able to look at the Xcode overview. The notes were very, very helpful. I need to figure out from Google Classroom if I can download them versus just viewing them. But I think if Taylor doesn't mind, I had a quick piece of feedback about her driving the ship. Could I give that?
sure, go ahead.
Yeah. So for me, I think it was a little hard to follow. Just because sometimes voiceover didn't finish. I know Taylor was like going really fast trying to find things, but sometimes it was a little harder to follow when voiceover didn't finish. And I didn't know Taylor knew what she was looking for, but I didn't.
Right.
So maybe either let voiceover finish or let us know what you're looking for before voiceover starts reading something. Thanks.
Thank you, Chelsea. Yep. We'll take that in mind, and we've talked about that a few times. So, and if not, then I'll kind of explain what's happening as well. Okay.
Yeah, thanks.
Well,
I could follow it. It was just a little bit tricky in terms of going back and doing it on my own later.
sure, that makes sense. Okay, Fenton.
There you go.
Oh, I don't have the latest and greatest iPhone. I do want to, instead of using the simulation, do want to use the actual phone to do some testing along the way. But it doesn't sound like I can. And I just want to make sure Xcode obviously requires the latest and greatest on the Mac OS. Currently, I'm on 26. So for it to, does it mean that I cannot test it with older model of iPhones at all?
No, you can use older models of iPhone. So you can use
To connect
correct.
to the
But
Mac.
how old is your phone?
It's a borrowed phone. I actually don't have an iPhone, so it's a borrowed phone. It's a iPhone 8.
iPhone 8 may be slightly outside of the supported range at this point.
What is the
Um,
range then for supported phones?
You'd have to look up online. I don't know the full list. but I know that they aren't supporting for sure anything older than the 8. If it's a 7, they will not support it. But I'm thinking that this was the year that the 8 lost support for development. But I am not sure of that information.
Okay, that's fine.
Either way, you're right on the border of that.
So
So
say if I borrowed a iPhone 12, would that work?
that would work for sure.
That would work, yeah.
Now the message that I received from Xcode when trying to choose that as a product is that it says the iOS level is less than 26. So any phone that is not an iPhone 17 or what's the latest these days would be less than 26, isn't it?
No, that's not true. So you can download what's called device support, and you can go to we'll probably show that today. You can go to what's called components in the Xcode settings, and you can tell it which versions of iOS you want to have supported. So typically it installs the latest version of iOS that Xcode will support, but you can go back and pick other versions. Now, the iPhone 8 does not run iOS 26, but several years worth of phones and iPads and Macs will run the 26 version, up to probably 5 to 7 years at the longest. So your 8 probably would not run 26, but you could probably get support for iOS 17 or 16. And then one of the things that we're going to talk about today is how you can set, when you create a new project, how you can set the version of the operating system to be 17 or 16. So we're going to talk about those today.
That would be great because even with the 8, the iOS is 16.7 at this point, being the highest. So if it can run the supported version of the iOS, that sounds really good.
Yes, we can do that. Now, I will tell you there is one difference here that you'll have to think about. As we go through the course, there will be features and things that will be focused on iOS 17 and 18 and 26. So you may not be able to take advantage of some of those newer techniques and technologies that we may be working with.
Sure.
So,
and I noticed that there's a simulator and the graphic and the interaction with it seems to be pretty good. I mean, I was able
Yes.
to play around with a iPhone 17 Pro on my computer, so that
right. And it
would
does
that
work with
be
VoiceOver.
equivalent?
Yes, you can.
Okay.
You're just not getting the full, the full range of this is what it's like on an actual device compared to running that in the simulator.
Okay.
For example, there are some apps that do not exist in the simulator.
Ah, I see what you mean.
Like Google, you have Android has when they have they call them emulators, and you can basically run an emulator and install Google Play on it. Well, not install Google Play. It has Google Play. So you could sign in with your Google account and then download apps from the App Store if you wanted to. Whereas the iOS simulator is a lot more limited in that fashion, as Apple doesn't recognize the simulator as an actual usable device, whereas Android does.
Okay. Thank you for the answers.
Absolutely. Okay.
Michael, you do have a chat from Chelsea. Sorry to interrupt.
Okay. Absolutely.
Would you like me
Um,
to read that or are you
If you
good?
don't mind, that would be great.
Sure. She just mentions that I think 11 was dropped for support this year for iOS 26. Is
Thank
her
you, Chelsea.
text.
Okay. Fantastic. Good information. All right.
Yeah, Mac
So,
Rumors has articles on that. I just don't want to look them up in right now.
sure. Okay. Let's kind of review. So last time we talked about we were able to create a project, we were able to navigate the 3 areas of Xcode, which are the 4 areas. So we have the toolbar, we have the navigators, the editor, and the inspectors. You can also hide and show the debug area. Okay. Those are kind of the 4 main areas of Xcode. When you're coding, though, like I mentioned last time, what I would recommend people do is hide the navigators and the inspectors when you're not using them. Now, fun fact, and I didn't know this until recently. Did you know that most Apple apps have inspectors?
I did actually.
Um, Logic Pro has inspectors. I think even the Photos app has inspectors. It is a well-established pattern of design in Apple apps. Technically, Pages. Do you ever find Pages to be very cumbersome because we're used to all of the controls being at the top and in our editor after the controls? Well, that's because Pages is a content and then inspector based app, which, when you think of it like that, it kind of changes your perspective on how Apple apps work. My first experience was with Xcode for inspectors because when you were using UIKit and storyboards, inspectors were key. You made changes to your UI through the inspectors. Now they're not as important as they were. Okay. They're still there. They're still useful. You could change target information and other things about a file and things like that. But we discussed how to run apps using either the product menu or the toolbar with the run group. We discussed the different navigators that were important: the file navigator, or project navigator, I should say, and the issues navigator. So there's also the debug area is our debug navigator or the reports navigator, I think is what
Reports
it's called.
Navigator, yeah.
Yeah.
That's really
I
awesome.
don't use that one much. Taylor does.
And do you want me to explain why I use it or not yet?
Yes, go ahead.
Imagine a scenario where you have 30 or 40 issues and you're like, oh, this is kind of a nightmare. And you try to copy all of them, and you may be able to do that from the issues navigator. But let's say that you want to share this with like an AI or some other team member. You can go to the reports navigator and you can actually go to local reports and then go to build and then select the build like for today, whatever this time. And then it's like a table and you could just select that entire report and you could be able to share that with somebody, or even better, you can export it as like a CSV or a PDF if you want to share it with somebody.
Yep. And how often do you use that, Taylor?
It varies. Some days I use it a lot. Some days I barely even use it. Honestly, I don't use it as much now because I have coding tools that will run my code through the terminal from Xcode. But when I was using like Cursor and Parallels, I'd be using it all the time.
And we'll get into talking about coding AI tools later on in the course, but that is going to be a big part of your journey, is learning how to use those tools to better use your code or write code. Because believe it or not, there are some tools that do better with iOS app development, and you will have to wait
To
for
find
later
out
on in
more.
the class, unless you follow us on social media. We talk about it all the time there, but we'll talk about that later on in the course. We talked about how to set up your Xcode environment. Taylor, during office hours, talked about creating activities with VoiceOver for coding, and we found some interesting things out about that, I thought. So I think there was probably a few more things that we covered that you can find from the notes, the actual lecture itself, and things like that. So we're going to get into new content at this point. So let's get started. I'm really excited to show some of these things. So the first thing that we didn't really talk about this last time is where to go to do a certain thing with Xcode. So what we're going to talk about and then demonstrate is, why do you sign in with an account in Xcode? Well, you sign in with an Apple account that has been registered as a free Apple developer or a paid Apple developer, so that you can run apps. The other thing is, so you can distribute apps. Xcode has built-in integration with distributing your apps to the App Store. And let me tell you, folks, it has gotten so much easier to do this now than it ever was when I started. Because, again, you could go back to that product menu that we talked about last time and go to Archive. And that will build your app and package it, and maybe ask to sign the package, and you could do always allow once you enter your computer's password, and then it will bring up an archives dialog that you'll see a lot, and then you can go to submit to App Store, and it just works. You press enter once and boom, your app is uploading. In the past, you had to go through all of this different information just to check, entitlements and all these things, and we'll get into that before you can submit your app. Okay, so that's where it's very useful to sign in. You sign in with a GitHub account or other Git-based account for source control. You can submit and commit and push to GitHub right from Xcode. It's a wonderful process. And now you can also sign in a different location to your OpenAI and Claude accounts, or even use local models for Swift Assist. So that is another place where you could sign in as well. So Taylor, let's go ahead and share your screen, and let's show people how to get to the sign-in area in Xcode settings, and then we will kind of demonstrate how you can add accounts. Taylor
Okay.
already has accounts added, but we'll demonstrate that.
Yep, let me share my screen.
Zoom share toolbar window. Zoom. Zoom. As new window.
All right. I assume that you guys can hear my speech. Okay.
That is correct. We can hear your speech.
Okay. So I'm going to open Xcode by doing the command space and spotlight and just typing in Xcode. It's usually how I do it.
Spotlight search window, search text field blank. X. CO. D. E.
Enter.
Xcode. Zoom. Us. Zoom share toolbar window, system dialog. Mute my audio. Xcode. Welcome to Xcode window. Coding activity, recent projects, table, row 1 of 4, perspective chat /documents/developer/Swift, selected as keyboard focus. You are currently on the table period. To enter this table, comma, press Control-Option-Shift-down arrow period.
So I want to mention a few things here. You heard it say coding activity. So that tells you that Taylor's coding activity came into effect once she opened Xcode. Another thing you may have noticed when it was reading the hint, it was reading all of the hyphens in the hint. And that is because the coding activity that she has set will read punctuation to help with knowing what punctuation is there for coding. And again, like I mentioned last time, we come up to this welcome window. You can turn this off. There is a checkbox. If you don't like this window, there is a, or I believe there's a, it used to be in the window. You may have to turn it off somewhere else because I'm not seeing
I
it
think it's in
anymore.
preferences.
It might be in preferences, but it used to be here in this welcome window. But that can be disabled, but I would not. And the reason is that the welcome window lets you pick your recent projects or create new projects or open existing projects that are not listed. So it's a very useful window. I've been using this window to get started with projects ever since I've been using Xcode. But you don't need to open a project to get where we're going here. So Taylor, if you will go to your Xcode menu and go to settings or
One thing
open
I
settings,
will,
however you prefer.
okay, one thing I will mention is, this window is almost like a launch pad for your projects. So, create, open, and you can do anything you need to. So what I typically like to do is press the simple keyboard shortcut. It's Command, comma, and that will get you to preferences, like it does in most other Apple apps.
Add Apple account ellipsis button. Apple accounts. You are currently on the button, comma, inside of a scroll area period. To click this button, comma, press Control-Option-Space period. To stop interacting with this scroll area, comma, press Control-Option-Shift-up arrow period.
Interesting that I landed here. I'm going to VO left.
0 indents Taylor 2 space arm, comma, Taylor the iCloud. Com button. You are currently on the button, comma, inside of a scroll area period. To click this button, comma, press Control-Option-Space period. To stop interacting with this scroll area, comma, press Control-Option-Shift-up arrow period.
So I'm already at the account.
Let me explain what happened. The last time she opened this area, the settings, she was in the accounts area already. And I'll tell you what, they've changed that screen a lot. Instead of tabs or other things, it has a sidebar in this area, this right side area, kind of like a split view on other Mac or iPad apps. But there is one option before that, and that's general. So why don't you go ahead and show that table and what options are there and where you would normally go if you did not land here, how to get there.
Okay, I will press VO left.
0 indents Taylor 2 space arm, comma, Taylor the iCloud. Com button.
I guess I won't. Okay.
Out of scroll
You'll need
area.
to stop interacting. Yep.
Yep, stop interacting. My bad.
Vertical splitter. Sidebar table, row 2 of 12, Apple accounts, selected. You are currently on the table period. To enter this table, comma, press Control-Option-Shift-down arrow period.
Okay, so I'm in a table. I'm going to interact.
And sidebar table, row 2 of 12, Apple accounts, selected Apple accounts. You are currently on the cell, comma, inside of a table period. 2 space to navigate the cells within a table, comma, press Control, Option and then up arrow, comma, down arrow, comma, left arrow, comma, or right arrow period. To exit this table, comma, press Control-Option-Shift-up arrow period.
So I think for brevity, what we can do is when we get to the hints there, when you hear it start reading, you are in we could go ahead and continue to the next thing. Now, one thing I want to point out before you do continue is that area says Apple accounts. Now,
Interesting.
the weird thing about that is it has add Apple account, but this used to be the area where you added GitHub accounts as well.
Yeah,
So,
I was wondering
yeah,
about that.
that is interesting. So, we'll figure that out in just a minute, but go ahead and let's just kind of navigate through the areas here and then we'll continue.
All right. So I'm gonna VO left.
General. You are currently on the cell out of sidebar table.
Okay, I stopped interacting. I'm gonna VO right.
Vertical splitter. Scroll area. You are currently on the scroll area and scroll area. 42 items appearance.
Here are a bunch of settings. As you heard, 42 items appearance. Again, I'm just VO right here after I went ahead and interacted.
Appearance auto button. You are currently on appearance light button. You are currently on the appearance
So
dark button.
let's not go through everything here, but I just wanted to show how you get to the account, the Apple accounts area.
Okay.
And this is general. So what you're going to do is you'll probably start with general, and so you will be looking for Apple accounts.
Okay. Yeah, and those I think are themes, correct, Michael? They weren't labeled.
Yeah, so
requests.
light and dark and auto. So there's auto or system light and dark. There's also where you could change how you navigate. There's a lot of things here. We're not going to go into today, but we'll get into more of that another time.
Okay.
Okay, so let's go ahead and navigate through the table, and then we'll move back to Apple accounts.
Okay, so you want me to show all the options or just
Yeah,
you
show
mean-
the options in the table on the left sidebar.
Okay, got it. So I'll stop interacting here.
Out of scroll area. Vertical splitter. Sidebar table. Row 1 of 12. General. Selected. You are
Interact.
in sidebar Apple accounts. You are currently on this intelligence. You are currently on behaviors. You are currently navigation. You are currently on notifications. You are currently on themes. You are current editing. You are currently shortcuts. You are currently on the source control. You are currently on the cell com components. You are currently on locations. You are current locations.
That's all we have.
Okay, so let's go ahead and go back up to Apple accounts, and let's find the add account button, and let's see what we get.
Okay, let me go ahead and do that. So again, I'm just gonna VO left here.
Components. You are source control. You are currently on shortcuts. You are current editing. You are currently on themes. You are notifications. You are currently on this navigation. You are current behaviors. You are intelligence. You are current Apple accounts. You are currently on the cell comma out of sidebar table.
Okay. Stop interacting.
Vertical splitter. You are scroll area. You are current in scroll area.
And I interacted with a scroll area. I'm gonna VO right.
Add Apple account ellipsis button. You are currently on the button comma.
There's the add Apple account.
Okay, let's select that.
All right. VO space, maybe.
And dialog and email or phone number. Dialog edit text blank.
Oh,
Sign into your Apple account period.
they did split them out. Okay, so that is actually kind of nice, and the reason is, in the past, all of your accounts are held in the same place. So if you want to add your GitHub account, you would need to do so under source control.
Oh, yes.
And and you really do need a GitHub account for Xcode. And so let's go ahead and go to the source control tab. So go ahead and back
Okay.
out of here.
I'm gonna press escape.
Add Apple account ellipsis button. Closing dialog. Add Apple account ellipsis button. Closing 0 indents Taylor 0 indents out of scroll area. Vertical
All
splitter.
right. Stop
You are
interacting.
sidebar table. Row 2 and sidebar table. Row 2 of 12.
Get in the table.
Intelligence. Behaviors. Navigation. Notifications. Themes. Editing. Shortcuts. Source control. You are out of sidebar. Vertical split scroll area. You are current in scroll area.
Here's the scroll area.
And so it doesn't read the first option, but it's enable source control, and that is on by default. And then let's go one item to the right.
Okay.
Enable source control on switch. You are currently on this heading accounts. You are currently on add account ellipsis button. Your
Okay.
heading settings.
Okay, I just stopped it so it wouldn't read all
So-
the headings.
So here's the reason why you really want to add your GitHub account here. In previous versions of Xcode, I don't think that you can search for Swift packages unless you sign in to GitHub. Now, what are Swift packages? Sometimes there are things that you want to do in your apps that are not built into Xcode. For example, we use a push notification service called OneSignal. Well, I don't want to write a request to OneSignal every time I want to send a push
Oh, that'd be
notification.
painful.
I don't want to have to manually queue up the request to send push notifications. I don't want to have to create code to track all those things. So the manufacturer of OneSignal or Firebase or any of these others has their own libraries to do this. Now, in the past, we used things like CocoaPods, which is a command line package manager to install packages in your app. But now Apple has what's called the Swift Package Manager, where you can search GitHub and it will find packages. And I think you can Google search Swift Package Index online and search for different packages and get their URLs. But I think that from my recollection, it does help to search GitHub if you signed in with a GitHub account. And this is where you would do that. So these are ways that you extend Xcode to do more in the long run. So the sooner you get this logged in, the sooner you don't have to think about it. Same with your Apple account. So you're going to sign in with both your Apple account, used to be called the Apple ID, but now it's the Apple account. And also you're going to sign in with your GitHub source control account. Now, if you are using Bitbucket or GitLab or any of the other private ways of storing repos for Git, then you can sign in with those as well under source control. It is not limited to just GitHub, but GitHub does help. From my experience, it may not anymore, but it does help with package management, and it can also make it to where you can commit and push to GitHub in Xcode. So you can have basically your cloud backups of your source code all in one place. So those are the main things that I wanted to focus on in signing in Xcode settings. Taylor, you could go ahead and stop sharing your screen for right now, and while you're off share, you can get back to the welcome screen, and we'll move forward in a minute.
Zoom. Zoom.
Hold on, there we go. Sorry.
There we go. All right. I want to see if folks have questions about what we have just covered now. So raise your hand. Give folks a minute.
Yeah, at the moment, nothing, but
We'll give you guys just a minute. Feel free, guys. That's why I'm giving a lot of buffer time in this to take questions. And while I give people time to raise your hand.
oh, we've got a hand.
All right.
Chelsea.
Hi, this is Chelsea. Well, you mentioned GitHub, so in an effort to not sound pretentious, I guess I will ask my question. If we're lucky enough to have more than one Mac, do we pick one, or can we use Git's pull and push and commit to grab different versions of our apps?
So this would be more of a Git question, but I'll talk about it here briefly. This is why you would want to use branching. So
Okay.
you could be working on different features on different branches, and Xcode does let you change between branches in a repository. So you could be on main on one Mac for testing, and in your develop branch on another Mac for actual development, or a feature branch, or any of the others, and switch between them and pull and push and do all the things. You could even do a merge conflict with yourself if you chose, and I don't know why you would. But
Yeah.
yeah, all of those things are possible if you have multiple Macs, and Xcode and GitHub would manage it perfectly. It's just
This sounds
learning how to use Git.
this sounds awesome. Okay, and then you'd have to go in and configure your developer certificates for your phone for each Mac, right?
Correct. And you
Okay.
can, because you're using the same Apple account on multiple Macs, you can run, you can set up your phone to run on multiple Macs with Xcode.
Sweet. Thanks.
We have Mark iPhone is our next hand.
All right, go ahead.
Hi there, this is Margaret. Second question this time, but I don't know a whole lot about GitHub other than I guess it's a repository for code storage.
So
And
yep, go ahead.
can you, I don't know, you would write code in Xcode and put it up there, or do we just have to know how to get into it, sign into it? I just
So
know
right-
it's a repository of some kind.
Mhm. So right now, I would just sign into it, create an account at GitHub, and sign in. You can create multiple repositories, one repository per project, and then you can log into. You can use Xcode to load the project in that repository, and then you can basically use it as your backup and restore and versioning. So, like say you write code and you know it works, and you say, okay, I'm going to make a commit and say, yay, my code works now. Woohoo. And then you go write some code and you're like, oh gosh, this doesn't work at all. And you can basically say restore to last commit, and your code will magically revert to the last time that you. It's basically like a save game for source code.
Okay, thank you.
Absolutely.
And Jim has his hand raised.
Hey, Jim.
Hey, I have a similar question. Is there some reason you're pushing Git right now? I mean, I totally understand the value of a version control system like Git, but it seems like the kind of thing that you would learn how to use when you needed it. And if you're just trying
Yeah.
to learn how to code, I don't think it's particularly necessary. So I was wondering if does Xcode require it, or is there some reason you're pushing this now?
So we're not going to teach Git. I was just basically giving a brief, this is what it is. The reason why I tell people to sign into GitHub is in the past, and this may have changed, and if it has, then disregard anything about source control or Git that I've said. But in the past, to get Xcode to search or to even find packages in Swift Package Manager because they're on GitHub, it worked a lot better if you had a GitHub account logged in. So again, I'm not sure if that's necessary anymore, but that's just how you could sign into, because in the past, they had where you sign into your Apple account at the same place you sign into GitHub. So I usually just tell people if you want to get the most out of it, just sign in and then forget about it.
So I really feel like GitHub is just.
It's just what now?
Yeah, I just feel like GitHub is extra bits of machinery and complexity that you don't really need to worry about early on. I hear you that it might improve package finding, but even that, I think you should. I think you could sort of talk about it when we start searching for packages. It just feels early, and I was hearing some people being like, why are we messing with this
Yeah,
now? So
you're not going to need to use Git or source control or any of that stuff right now. I'm just basically showing how to sign in at this point in time. That way you don't have to do it later. And kind of going through, this is some common areas in the Xcode settings that you may have to go to. That's the main concern here. Again, we're not really going to touch that, and we won't get into Swift packages until probably a good way halfway through the course, but I wanted people to know if you do need to come sign in, this is where you do it. Okay, any other questions?
No other hands are raised.
Alrighty. Also, for Swift Playgrounds users, this is not this, you don't even have the option to sign in to Git. So you know what? Maybe they have removed it, because I know you can search for packages in Swift Playgrounds on iPad. So maybe they did remove that. These things move pretty fast, guys, and when you start using it one way, it's you just kind of do the same habits. Okay. So if there's no other questions, let's go ahead and get into where I'm sure folks are going to be enjoying more. And what that is we're going to look at how to, the project creation screen. We saw this last time, but we're going to go through it a little bit more this time compared to the first class. All right. So we're going to start by talking about the fundamentals of projects and targets and all those things before we get into doing a demonstration. Okay. When you create a project in Xcode, it is different from creating a project in other development applications. So in Android and Visual Studio Code and others, your workspace, your project is all managed by the folders that you open when you create the project. That is not the case in Apple app development. When you create a project in Apple app development with Xcode, you are going to create one of two files. If you're creating a full app or a full project, you're going to get a file with the extension of Xcode Proj. That's XCODE-PROJ. If you create a playground, well, then that's kind of a no-brainer. It's probably going to end with .playground. So that is the two files that get created. A playground is a self-contained file that will hold all of your files, even though you can have files in it. An Xcode Proj file is saved in a folder with your other source files. Now, the big difference is if I go and I delete a file in a playground, it's gone forever, because I had to do that with an Xcode or Swift Playgrounds, and that's how that works. But an Xcode project is a little different, because if I delete a file in the folder with the project associates with the files, but it does not contain the files. So the project looks for the files in the folder that is relative to the project. So if I create a project, I typically get a content view.swift. So if I delete that file, the project does not know that I've done so. It's in the project navigator. It visually may show up red and may give a voiceover hint that it has been removed, but there's still a reference to that file. And you may ask, well, why would you do that? Maybe I copied the file or moved it out of the scope of the project and I could put it back. That is one way. But I can also delete the file in Xcode, and there's an option to delete the file or remove the reference. And the reference is the key here because it basically says that we're going to keep the file in the folder, but just remove the reference to it in the project. Okay. That's how Xcode projects work. It is a little confusing. It takes some getting used to, but just know that files are referenced in your project. And you can, weirdly enough, reference files in your project that are not even in the project's folder. And that's where we get really confusing. So I always recommend people copy the files to the project's folder and then add them if you're bringing in files without creating them when starting the project. Okay. So an Xcode proj is basically the file that contains all of the data about your project. It has the build information, build settings, what files are going to be copied into place, which binaries like frameworks you're going to use, which Swift packages you're going to use, which by the way are not kept in the project folder. So when you bring a project to a new Mac, that's a little fun waiting for it to download all the packages. It contains all of the information about the project and what to do with it. There is also a file called XC Workspace that can also hold multiple projects. So maybe you're making an app, okay? And you're making your own frameworks to go with that app. Then you would put the app project and the framework project in an XC Workspace. That's why those exist. CocoaPods and other package managers that were before Swift Package Manager, they used XC Workspace files to store all of the files needed since those libraries were not part of your project. So if you've ever heard that term, that is why that was done. Okay. So we know about the XC proj file, and we know a few things like that. We're going to look at some of the things that make the Xcode proj file important tonight. Okay. So when we create a new project, we're creating one of those files in a folder that we pick or that it creates for us, and then creates all the files. Once we create that, once we pick the, or once we start creating the project, we have several options. We can pick between an app, a document-based app, a game, and several other options, but we can also pick another thing as well, and that's the platform. What platform are we building for? Because we have Swift UI, we can do what's called multi-platform development. I would really tell people, don't start with that and start with iOS. And the reason is everything can be moved up from iOS. It is a little more difficult to move down from multi-platform. For example, when you create a multi-platform project, you'll get a folder for, well, we'll demonstrate this in a minute. You'll get shared folders for shared code between different operating systems. And you could create folders for each individual platform, whether it be iOS, tvOS, visionOS, watchOS, macOS. Okay. But if you create an iOS app, then your phone will, your app will work on the phone, the iPad, and then you can add targets for the Apple Watch, or you can change how it works on the Mac. You could pick Mac Catalyst, or you could pick the full Mac operating system and add whatever code you want. Okay. So let's demonstrate this. Taylor, are you ready?
Yes, I am ready.
Okay,
I
go ahead
did
and share
turn
your
off
screen.
the hints so that we wouldn't have any problems.
Okay, sounds great.
Yep. And whoops, what are we doing here? Okay. All right. Be sure sound.
Zoom share toolbar window system dialog. Zoom. Us as new window. Mute Xcode. Xcode. General.
Here is the general, and I'm back in Xcode.
Okay, let's go and close that window.
Close what window?
You're in the settings window, so let's go and close
Yeah.
that window.
Okay, you told me to be there, so.
We want to be in the welcome window,
Okay.
which
So-
you can get from the window menu, by the way,
I
folks.
can. Yes, I can. So I'll show you. So I'm going to do the VLM.
Apple menu. Xcode. File menu. 26 item. Edit menu. 17 items. View menu. 17 items. Find menu. 29 items. Navigate menu. 28 items. Editor menu. 4 items. Product menu. 19 items. Debug menu. 26 items. Integrate menu. 22 items. Window menu. 19 items.
Down here.
Minimize dim command M. Zoom dim fill dim def and control F. Center dim def and control C. Move ampersand resize submenu. Full screen tile dimmed. Remove window from set dimmed. Rename window tab ellipsis dim command shift option T. Show previous window tab dim control shift tab. Show next window tab dim control tab. Move tab to new window dimmed. Merge all windows dimmed. Developer documentation command shift 0. Welcome to Xcode command shift 1. Now and welcome to Xcode window, recent projects, table, row 1 of 4, perspective chat /documents/developer/Swift, selected.
Okay, so we also got a good hint there, Command Shift 1.
Yep.
And that will bring up this welcome window, even if you're in a project, folks, which is pretty cool in my book. Okay. So let's go ahead and we're going to look for the Create New Project button.
Okay. Let's see.
Open existing project button.
View left.
Clone Git repository button. Create new project button. And filter dialog template filter field search text field. Choose a template for your new project :
Okay. So now we're at the point where we can pick a template. And it starts us on the filter option. So let's go ahead and VO left arrow.
Platform radio group.
Platform radio group. So did you remember I was talking about this before? So if we go into this group, let's go ahead and find out what we have.
Interacting.
And platform radio group. 8 items multi-platform selected button.
Okay, so we have multi-platform. Let's go to the right.
iOS button.
Again.
macOS button.
Again.
watchOS button.
Again.
Close button.
So that's tvOS. It's
Yep.
kind of said it kind of strange.
It's cash. Yeah.
Visionos button.
Vision OS. Visionos.
It's really.
That sounds like an
Driver kit
Italian
button.
food restaurant. Driver kit and other.
Other button.
Let's go ahead and select other and let's see what's here before we go to where we need to be.
Okay.
Other selected.
So we have empty, which is an empty file, and external build system. We don't really need those. Empty, though, guys, will let you create files that you can't normally pick. So if I wanted to make an HTML file and use Xcode, I could go to other and then empty. Pretty cool, huh? Xcode is a powerful IDE. It's built for Apple tools. However, you can technically set up where you can use an external build system and run Python. You could use Xcode as your Python IDE. I don't know why you'd want to, but you could do it. If you really liked Xcode enough, there are ways to do that. Okay. So that's what we have under other. Let's go ahead and go back over to iOS.
Okay. So
Driver kit button. Visionos button. Close button. watchOS button. macOS button. iOS button.
So she did VO left arrow to get
Yep.
back to those. And then she's going to VO space to select iOS.
iOS selected.
Okay. Now let's go ahead and stop interacting with this radio group.
Yep.
Out of platform radio group.
Okay, we're going to VO right arrow.
Template filter field. Filter search
Again.
text field. Scroll area.
So our scroll area, let's interact with this scroll area here.
And scroll area. 3 items. Template chooser collection. 1 item selected. App. Template chooser collection. 1 item selected. App.
Okay. So I wonder, can we VO right from here? Let's see what happens.
Template chooser collection. 1 item
Okay,
selected.
No, I
we
can't.
gotta
App.
interact with that.
And template chooser collection. App.
Okay. So we're in template chooser and we're under the application heading and we see app. Let's go VO right.
Document app.
Okay, let's keep going.
Game.
So we have games. Keep going.
Augmented reality app.
Okay, again.
App playground.
So app playground, and that's basically the same thing that we would use on the iPad with Swift Playgrounds. We will play some with that. Okay, again,
Sticker pack app.
that's to make iMessage sticker packs. Let's keep going.
iMessage app.
iMessage app, again.
Safari extension app.
So this is how you can create Safari extensions for iOS. Let's keep going.
Safari extension app.
Okay, so we'd have to stop interacting here.
Out of section.
Okay, and let's go to the next one.
Framework ampersand library section.
So these are for creating frameworks and libraries. So we could create a static library, a framework, and a meta library. That's going to be beyond the scope of this course. So let's VO right.
Framework ampersand library section.
Okay, so those are 2 areas here. All right. Let's go ahead and go VO left.
Application section.
Okay, let's interact with this again.
And section 9 items. Application text.
Okay, so let's go ahead and select app.
Okay.
So
So
VO right.
yep.
App.
Okay. Let's select that. VO space.
Okay.
Okay, so that did not do it. Well, that selected it, but let's press enter.
What did that select?
We're on app.
Okay.
Product name colon. Edit text.
So we did a lot of this stuff yesterday, or last week, sorry.
Yes.
I mean, I may have done this yesterday. So let's call it my second app.
Okay. Let's see. So
M Y my S E C O N second A left bracket left A
if I could type.
P P
Cool.
app.
Okay, VO right.
Techopolis Online Solutions, LLC team pop-up button.
So we have our team. Let's go to the right.
Period. Techopolis Online content selected organization identifier colon. Edit text.
Okay, we went through that last time. Let's keep going.
Period. Techopolis Online period. My second app bundle identifier colon.
Good. Let's keep going.
Swift UI interface colon. Pop-up button.
Swift UI, yep. Keep going.
Swift language colon. Pop-up button.
Okay. Keep going.
None testing system colon. Pop-up button.
Keep going.
None storage colon. Pop-up button.
That's fine. Okay, we're good to go. So press enter.
An open dialog. Source control colon.
Okay.
Xcode will place your project under source control dimmed.
Okay, that's fine. So we can go through here and figure out where we want to place it. It's already set to the desktop. This is just a standard open dialog for Mac OS. So let's just press the enter.
Yep. I'm just gonna save it there for now.
Xcode is not responding.
Cool.
It's going to say that even though it's
Previous source editor
Creating a
edit text
project.
currently on line 1. Insertion at beginning of text. / new line. / 2 space
Okay.
content view period.
I was
so.
gonna start reading the entire thing.
Yep. So that's creating an app. Now let's talk about we're going to get into document apps later on. We're not going to go into like demonstrating one today because there is more I would like to show you all. We're not going to close this. We're not going to close this dialogue here. We're going to, or this project, we're going to continue here. So what I want you to do, or is just to hang out there, and you can go ahead and stop screen share for the moment, but just don't close the window.
Okay. I'm
Save
gonna
as
stop.
colon.
Oh, no, no,
Tax
hold on.
Zoom. Us. Zoom.
Okay, excellent. So a document-based app, what it does is it creates basically a version of TextEdit. It brings you through all of the same dialogues that we just did in creating an app, but it just has, it's a different template. And there's a lot more detail to it, okay? So that's what creating an app project is like, kind of going completely through and through, okay? So that is we've gone through the whole adding a project dialogue. All right. So we kind of did some of that last time, but this was more detail. So I want to see if anybody has questions about that, and then we will move on to the next lesson.
All right, as of the moment, no raised hand. Oh, Jim has raised his hand.
Go ahead, Jim.
Did I miss it? I didn't hear iPad OS in the list of platforms.
That's correct, because iPadOS is kind of shared with iOS.
Oh, that's skanky.
Yeah.
They broke it out into a new OS, but they don't really want to modify
Right.
Xcode. Okay.
Well, and the reason is if you build for iOS, you should also build for iPadOS is the logic that they have.
Okay. Okay.
Okay. So we've got signing in, we've got creating projects and project types. So we've done that. We've done creating apps. So we showed kind of how you would create a document app. It's the same process. The next thing I want to show is, and we talked about the differences between multi-platform and different platforms. I want to point out if you pick Mac OS, then you don't really have the ability to run on iOS. Swift UI is kind of dependent on how you pick your project type whenever you create it. So if you want iOS and you want Mac OS, you should pick multi-platform or go with iOS. Okay. It's mainly because iOS is built off of a framework called UIKit. UIKit is very streamlined. It's a interface type that works on iOS and iPadOS, and you can run it on Mac through a system called Mac Catalyst. A lot of Apple apps are being made through Mac Catalyst now. Okay. And we're going to show you how to set all of that up tonight. If you pick Mac, then you're just expecting it to run on a Mac. I think you can add the ability to run on iOS, but you have to do that in the first place, where if you plan your project before you even get started, then you're going to be in better shape. Okay. I forgot. Did anybody have any other questions before we move on?
No hands are raised.
Okay. I kind of got a little ahead of myself. So if you do have a question about what we've covered, feel free to raise your hand. Okay. All right. Now let's talk about, and I'm looking at my notes just to make sure we're following everything I wanted to follow. Yes, okay. So let's talk about once you've created your app, what do you do? How do you set everything up? Okay. So this is the point. We're not even going to get into code yet. We're not going to do any of that. But what do you do to get things ready to go? And that's where we're going to go next on this. Okay. Taylor, if you would not mind going and sharing your screen again.
All right.
Zoom share toolbar window system dialog. Zoom. Us has new window. Xcode. Xcode. My second app m dash content view period. Swift window. Coding activity source editor edit text current.
Okay, good. So we know we're still in the coding activity. We know all these things are still relevant. Okay. So we started in what's called content view.swift. We looked at that, and some of you guys have even played around in this area. Okay. What we want to do to get started, though, is we want to find my second app, the project, in the project navigator. It will be the first item in your project navigator. So Taylor, if you could go to your navigator and navigate and find the first item in the list, and that will be your project name.
All right, I'm pressing Command 1.
Project.
Okay.
That just closed your navigator.
Wait.
It was already open.
Oh, my bad. I had no idea. Okay, well.
Project navigator table row 4 of 5.
But that is a cool way to jump to
Swift,
that.
comma, Swift.
You can just close the navigator and then reopen it again. And it will jump VoiceOver Focus into the navigator. That's kind of interesting.
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay. I guess I landed in a table on row 4. So let's see where I'm at here. I'm gonna VO left because I have no idea where I am. Like, I have no idea.
Reports, radio, but project navigator table, row 4 of 5,
Okay.
content view period. Swift, comma, Swift source, selected.
So she
Alright.
VO left and it took her out of the table and into the list of navigators. So I would go ahead and interact with that table.
Okay.
And project navigator table, row 4 of 5, content view period. Swift, comma, Swift source, selected content view period. Swift, comma, Swift source, level 2, level 2. Assets period. Assets, comma, folder. My second app, comma, group expanded. 3 items enclosed, level 1.
Okay, before you move anywhere, let's talk about a group. A group is something in Xcode, and it can be a folder in real life or not. And that's confusing. So a group can be a folder inside your project, which it is here, or it could be a virtual group. So you can create a group or create a group based on a folder, which is what we have here. Okay, so again, this is a virtual representation of the file system, but is not the file system. They are all references to the file system. Okay, let's go one to the left again.
Okay.
My second app, comma, project expanded. 1 item enclosed.
Okay, so the thing that's enclosed is the folder, the thing or the group, and the thing that's in the group is the rest of your files. So this project has 3 files: the assets, the content view, and the app entry point. So we are on the project, and so this is where we want to be. Your editor is now replaced with a project editor area, and it's not source code. It's not a plist. It's not a big group of settings. It's a giant area of tabs and tables and other things that you can edit to change your project. Okay, so it is the editor view, but it's not an editor. Okay, and I know that's confusing, but it is what it is. Okay, So let's go through this slowly and with purpose. Okay, so let's stop interacting with the table.
Out of Project Navigator table.
Okay, you may need to stop interacting with the navigators area.
Out of Navigator group.
Yep. So let's view right arrow.
Editor area group.
Editor area group. Let's go again.
Go right.
Yep.
Vertical splitter.
One more time.
Vertical splitter.
Okay. So yeah, go back one to the editor area group.
Editor area group.
Interact with that.
An editor area group. 3 items. My second app period. Scottabridge group.
Okay. So let's view right. Let's see what we have in here.
Debug bar group.
Wait.
Okay. So it jumped to the bottom. Go back one.
My second app period. Scottabridge group.
So the reason why it's confusing me is the focus rectangle is not representative of what I think is selected. So go ahead and interact with that.
In my second app period. Scottabridge group. 9 items. Jump bar group.
Okay, let's go view right.
Project editor navigation bar button.
There we go. Project editor navigation bar. Let's go view right again.
Project editor tab chooser group.
Okay, so we are in that editor area that I was talking about. So this project tab chooser group, let's go ahead and go in here and see what we see, because this is very important.
Okay.
And project editor tab chooser group. 7 items general selected button.
We have general. General
I-
is, we're going to go through general quite a lot here pretty soon. Let's go to the next.
And I did interact with this tab group in case people were wondering.
Signing ampersand capabilities button.
Signing and capabilities. This button, we are going to go through in a little bit, but it is where you can sign your how you sign your apps, which team that we selected earlier, and if there's problems with profiles, then you got to go fix issues here. Okay, let's keep going.
Resource tags button.
Okay, I've never used this area personally.
Me either.
Let's go one more.
Info button.
Info is where you will come a lot to add permissions to your app. It is a plist that has all of the usage descriptions of how you use GPS or Bluetooth or internet. So you will add those items here. So as we need them, we will come back to this area, okay? Let's keep going.
Build settings button.
Build settings is how your app builds, and there is hundreds of settings in here and pretty advanced. I would stay clear. Okay.
Yeah.
Keep
Build
going.
phases button.
Build phases is when we build our app, what are the phases of building? What files do we copy? What libraries do we use? And all those things. Again, not a section you're going to go through much. Okay, next area.
Build rules button.
Cancel. My HomePod decided to talk. Cancel. It's like, okay, so that is all of the options here. So the main ones that we're going to look at are general, signing, and capabilities today, and then later on we'll look at info. We may have to look at build settings later on, but I'm hoping not. Okay, let's stop interacting with this and let's keep going.
Okay.
Out of project editor tab chooser group.
So we left general selected. So let's see what happens when we go view right.
Project and target list outline view table row 4 of 4. My second app target selected.
Now, see, to me, that is out of the tab order, as I call it in Windows, because to me, that should happen first before these tabs. Because depending on what you select in this table, that tab bar that we just read will change. Not my favorite interface, guys.
Nope.
Okay. So by default, your target is selected. So we have targets. So your app is a target. If you add an Apple Watch app, that is a target. If you add other extensions like a share extension, or like if you add a notifications assisting, like an assistant extension, those will all be targets. Okay, so that's where this area is needed. So if you want to change settings for each target, you will come to this table and make those changes there. Okay. Let's go, and if you go up in this table, you're going to get to an area called project, and it will be the name of your project where you can change project specific settings. And we will come to these areas multiple times throughout the class. Okay, so let's go ahead and VO right arrow.
Vertical splitter.
Okay, again.
Scroll area.
Okay, so now we're kind of at the meat of things. This is the scroll area. So let's interact with that.
And scroll area. 8 items, supported destinations, expanded disclosure group.
Okay, VO right.
Minimum deployments, expanded disclosure group.
Okay. Again, okay, no, go back one.
Supported destinations, expanded disclosure group.
So let's interact with that.
And supported destinations, expanded disclosure group. 2 items, supported destinations, expanded disclosure triangle.
VO right.
Table, no selection.
Okay, so let's go ahead and interact with this table and let's see what we have in here.
And table, no selection. Destination SDK.
Okay, VO right.
iPhone iOS.
Okay, so we have iPhone, iOS. VO right.
iPad 0 and Dense iOS.
See, it's even though it's iPad OS, it still calls it iOS, which I think they should probably change, but that's just my opinion. Again.
Mac, left parenthesis, designed for iPad, right parenthesis, iOS.
So let's VO space on this and let's see what happens. Okay, let's interact.
Nothing.
And Mac, left parenthesis, designed for iPad, right parenthesis, iOS, cell 2 items, has alternate items, Mac, left parenthesis, designed for iPad, right parenthesis.
VO right.
iOS.
VO space. Okay, so I guess you can't change that here. Okay, stop interacting.
Out of Mac, left parenthesis, designed for iPad, right parenthesis, iOS, cell 2 items, has alternate items.
Okay, VO right.
Apple Vision, left parenthesis, designed for iPad, right parenthesis, iOS.
So this tells us that everything in this app is designed for iOS. But we could change that. Let's go VO right one more time.
Add destination menu button, comma, remove destination button.
So it's a menu, so let's interact with that. Okay, no, interact.
Wait.
Then add destination menu button, comma, remove destination button, cell 2 items, has alternate items, add destination menu button.
See, that's not confusing at all, that
Yeah,
language.
I know.
But it does let you have to interact with it, and then it's saying that the menu is add destination and remove destination is what it's saying there. And the first button you heard was add destination. If you VO right arrow once,
remove destination button.
See, and if you VO left arrow,
add destination menu button.
Okay, let's select that.
Menu, 5 items.
Okay, we got a menu with 5 items. Let's go through it.
iPhone dimmed.
Keep going.
iPad dimmed.
Keep going.
Mac submenu.
Keep going.
Apple TV.
Keep going.
Apple Vision submenu.
Okay, so let's go back up to Mac.
Apple TV. Mac submenu.
Okay, let's select that.
It's a submenu right arrow.
Yep.
Mac submenu, 3 items, Mac new line, use AppKit and SwiftUI to access the full capabilities of the Mac OS SDK.
Good description. So we can make this thing work for Mac, like a a completely Mac app where we have AppKit, which is the Mac way of building apps, not UIKit. Okay, so we can select this, or there's one other option.
Mac Catalyst new line use UKIT to bring your iPad app to the Mac as a native experience.
Use UIKit to bring your app to the Mac for a native experience. This is the way that I recommend people do this. There's one more option that's dimmed, but let's see what it says here.
Designed for iPad new line run your unmodified iOS app on Mac computers with Apple Silicon, dimmed.
Okay, so basically what this option does is it basically runs your phone, your app like an iPhone app or iPad app based on, Apple Silicon. I typically have people use the second option here, which is Mac Catalyst. Okay, so let's go ahead and go back one.
Mac Catalyst new line use UKIT to bring your iPad app to the Mac as a native experience.
Okay, let's select that.
An alert dialog. Enable Mac Catalyst support ? For Mac Catalyst builds, this target and its dependencies will embed only Mac-compatible content, and the security and app sandbox settings will be aligned with the iOS app, period. New line source code will be unaffected and may still require changes, period.
Okay, that's fine. So let's use the enable button.
Enable default button.
Okay, press VO space.
Add destination menu button. Closing dialog
Okay.
table, row 6 of 7, Apple Vision, left parenthesis designed for iPad, right parenthesis, iOS, warning button, selected.
So we created a problem. Any
Yeah,
idea what we
have.
made?
We made a mess.
How is that?
It says Apple Vision warning. There's a problem.
Right.
So in adding Mac support, we busted our Apple Vision Pro support.
Well, not just that, but we also broke the Mac design for iPad.
Uh-oh.
So why is this? Well, we are basically saying we're building for Catalyst for Mac, but not and you can't have two Mac destinations. We got to get rid of one. So let's go ahead and select that Mac design for iPad and let's remove it.
Hold on. Where am I at? See, am I in the table?
You're on the table.
Supported destinations, expanded, disclosure table, row 6 of 7, and table, row 6 of 7, Apple Vision, left parenthesis designed for iPad, right parenthesis, iOS, warning button, selected Apple Vision,
up.
left parenthesis, add destination, Apple Mac, left parenthesis designed for iPad, right parenthesis, iOS,
Okay.
warning button.
So VO space on that just to make sure.
Only one and pop over. 2 items remove destination, button.
Okay. So we have remove destination. Let's select that.
Table, no selection.
And now the only area where we're having a problem is Apple Vision. So let's just go remove that.
Table, no selection. And table, no selection. Destination SDK. iPhone iOS. iPad 0 and Dense iOS. Mac, left parenthesis Mac Catalyst, right parenthesis, iOS. Apple Vision, left parenthesis design, only one can pop over. 2 items remove destination, button. Table, no selection.
Yay, we're good.
Yay!
So now if we wanted to build an Apple Vision Pro app, we would need to build an Apple Vision Pro app. Okay. So let's go ahead and VO right arrow.
Okay.
Table, no selection.
Okay. Let's stop interacting with the table.
Out of supported destinations, expanded, disclosure group.
And VO right.
Minimum deployments, expanded, disclosure group.
Okay. So this becomes very easy because we're basically only building for iOS. Okay. So we want to interact with this area here.
And minimum deployments, expanded, disclosure group. 4
VO
items,
right.
minimum deployments, expanded, iOS.
So what are we doing for iOS? VO right.
Go down, toggle button.
Again.
26.0, content selected, edit text.
Okay, so minimum deployments. What does this mean? It means that the minimum version we're building for is iOS 26. And why does it matter? Why don't we see iPad or Mac here? It's because iOS is the main operating system that we're working with, And what is the minimum version of iOS that we're going to build for? My recommendation is that you start with 17, kind of go with 3 versions. If you do need to test it on an iPhone 8, then you want to do 16.7, and you can just replace this text with whatever you want, or you can use your up and down arrow keys. So let's try that.
Or the down button,
Right. But use your arrow keys.
maybe.
Yes, it brought up a menu.
Oh, down arrow again?
iOS 26 button, completion selected.
Again.
iOS 18 button, completion selected.
Okay, again.
iOS 17 button, completion selected.
Okay, select that one.
17.6, unselected, insertion at end of text.
Okay. So we've replaced that with iOS 17, which is pretty good for most things. Now, if you do need a later version, then pick a later version. But if your app can support an earlier version, 17 is a good option, and you can support more people's devices that don't want to go to the latest version of the operating system. Now, there are things you could do later on to check for the later versions of the operating systems, so keep that in mind. So you can pick an earlier version and continue working on features on the newer version. We'll talk about all of that. Okay, there's one last thing I want to show you in this today. We may not get through signing in capabilities. We're going to try, though. So let's go to the next item.
Okay. Do a review, right?
Try it, but I think you may have to stop interacting.
Let me do that.
Out of minimum deployments, expanded disclosure
There we
group.
go. So feel right.
Identity expanded disclosure group.
Okay. Identity. This is where we this is where we give our app its personality. Okay. So we're going to identify our app. So let's go ahead and interact with this.
An identity expanded disclosure group. 11 items, identity expanded disclosure triangle.
Okay. View right.
App category.
Again.
Non-app category pop-up button.
So this is the category that your phone, not the App Store, but your phone, you know how you have your what's it called? The
Folders,
no, app directory, or what do they call that?
app library.
App library. Yes, thank you. This is how it divides it up with this category here. Okay. So let's pick something. VO space on that, and let's see. what we
Menu
got.
46 items checkmark none. Books. Business. Developer tools.
Let's go to education.
Okay, it's good.
Education. Closing menu. Education app category pop-up button.
There we go. So now you will have an education category when you put this on your phone. Isn't that cool? Okay. So let's VO right one more time.
Display name.
Again.
Display name. Edit text blank.
So we can now, let's just call it second app. Second space app.
All right.
SECOND second. A left bracket.
Oops, so if I could type.
Left bracket. A PP.
There we go.
App.
Okay. Now, the limit to this is about 13 characters. It is a pain, as I'm finding out right now with Beyond the Gallery. Not better at all. I'm still trying to come up with a good name. Probably, we'll figure that out. Let's go VO right again.
Okay.
Bundle identifier. Com period. Techopolitan line period. My hyphen second hyphen app.
Okay. You can't change that. I don't think.
No, not here.
Okay, VO right.
Version.
Again.
1.0 content selected. Edit text.
So this is the version number of your app. It's very important that you look here because this is how you change that. Okay. And let's go again.
Build.
Again.
1. Content selected. Edit text.
So this is how you change the build number of your app. This is important for test flight and releasing your app. There are a lot of different ways that you could do your build number. Some people do, they start from 1 and they count up and they have the number of builds for each version. And they set it back to 1. Or you could just keep counting up. So you could have 1, 2, 3, 4, 20, and then go to 25. And then you release build 25, and then, the next version may be build 34. And then you release that build. And the next version may be 46, and you build and release that. So that's how builds work. You can do it however you want. With some exceptions, you cannot go down in number unless you change version numbers. So just be careful when you're creating builds, okay? This is the identity, and it's a very essential part of creating an app, because this is how you identify what app you're doing. Now, here's a little trick, and I don't recommend this, and I try to be good at it. I try, and still I mess up. Change your build number. Change your build number, because if you don't and you upload to the App Store, it will do it for you. It did not used to. It used to just error out, but it will auto increment your build number
good to
in App
know.
Store Connect. And so if you don't change your build number, you will stay, Xcode will say, I'm on build number 1, even though the App Store says, well, you're on build 246,502. Change your build number. Now, the reason why this gets a little complicated, we talked about targets earlier. Your target version for your app needs to be the same version number and build number as your other targets. So if you have a share extension or a shortcuts action or push notification service, all of those need to reflect the same version number and build number as your main app. So just don't get too excited and go to archive and upload, and don't forget to change your numbers.
I've done this a time or two.
So those are important things here. We're going to look at one more section. We will have to do signing and capabilities next week. We covered a lot of material today, though. This is
Yes,
been
we
fantastic.
have.
So let's go ahead and stop interacting with identity, and let's look at one more section.
All right.
Out of identity. Expanded disclosure group.
Okay, let's keep going.
Deployment info. Expanded disclosure group.
Okay, so go ahead and start interacting with this.
Okay.
And deployment info. Expanded disclosure group. 17 items. Deployment info. Expanded disclosure triangle.
Okay, let's keep going.
Mac Catalyst interface.
Okay, one more.
Scale to match iPad Mac Catalyst interface. Pop-up button.
Let's select that.
It's already selected.
I know, but let's VO space on it.
Menu. 2 items. Checkmark. Scale to match iPad.
Okay, VO right or down arrow, one of the
down
two.
arrow.
Optimize
Yeah.
for Mac.
You can do both, I believe, in there.
Okay. Okay. I did that.
And do a VO select that option.
Select this one, the second one.
Optimize for
Closing
Mac.
menu. Optimize for Mac. Mac Catalyst interface. Pop-up button.
Okay, let's VO
Excuse
right.
me, Michael and
Uh-huh.
Taylor, you've got a chat.
Okay.
Um,
Can we finish this real quick and then we'll
Sure.
talk about chats. Okay, VO right.
iPhone orientation.
Okay, let's go through these.
Portrait checked. Checkbox.
Okay, I'll briefly go over this. We have portrait upside down, which you really don't need to select, but it is an option. It is already unchecked. And then landscape left, landscape right. Okay. I just leave all these on. It's just if you want an app where it doesn't rotate, then you just keep portrait selected. Then iPad orientations, and you could change all of those. So on iPad, it has all of them selected: portrait, upside down, landscape left, landscape right. Then we have status bar style. I'm just kind of going through these quickly so we can get done. Status bar style, you can let's go down to that. Let's see what options we have.
Okay.
Upside landscape left. Check landscape iPad orientation. Port upside landscape status bar style.
One more.
Default pop-up button.
Let's bring up that button.
Menu 3 items check mark default.
Mm-hmm.
Dark content.
Okay.
So we have dark content and
Light content.
light content. What that does is default is an automatically detected status bar. But if you know your app is going to have dark content all the time, then you can set it to dark content and it will always be a light status bar. So we have that kind of control here. So let's go ahead and back out of this one.
Okay.
Closing menu. Default pop-up button.
Okay. VO right.
Hide during application launch. Unchecked checkbox.
Again.
Scene manifest.
Okay. We don't need the scene manifest. That is not important. And the last sections we have is for frameworks and app icons. App icons are already set up. Well, they're not set up, but where to add them is already set. You don't need to worry about changing any of those. And that's everything here. Okay. So you're going to have to watch this several times for this quiz, but that's kind of everything here. Okay. So we'll do signing and capabilities next time, and info probably as well. And that will be all of your project configuration, and then we'll do troubleshooting and other things. So Taylor, if you could go ahead and stop sharing your screen, and we will take the chat and questions. So stop sharing and we'll continue.
Zoom.
Done.
Okay. So Becky, what is our chat?
All right, it's from Chelsea, and she asks, can you clarify for people what the difference between versions and build numbers are, so that we don't get confused?
Versions are like you see, think about when you go to update iOS, you see like iOS 26. But then you have a specific build number that gives more detailed information to the developer about what it is. So I may see that you're on version 2.6.1, and then I have a build number. And I would use the build number to, I could associate, we talked about source control. I could use the build number to associate to source control to say, okay, they're using this exact build. I can basically load a commit with that build tag and know, okay, they're experiencing this bug on this build. So it's a more developer focused number that we can use for tracking issues. Another thing that's important to point out, in TestFlight, I may have 30 builds of version 2.0 of an app. So that's why a build can be different from a version number. Okay, let's go ahead and take any questions.
All right, no hands are raised currently, but as soon as there are, I'll let you know. We've got a hand.
Okay, go ahead.
Hold on. Zoom is being a little difficult. It's all right. Raymond.
Sorry about that. Quick question is, I'm surprised that the build and version number, they don't, like, that doesn't automatically update. You have to do that, I guess. That's the impression I'm getting from what you're
That's
explaining
correct.
today.
In
Okay.
Xcode, they do not automatically update.
Okay, thank you.
Mhm. Okay. Any other questions?
I'm not seeing any other hands.
Okay. Feel free to ask questions, guys. I feel like we covered a lot of material. I know it's kind of boring because we haven't done code, we haven't gotten into code yet. We will see a little bit of code next week, though.
I'm gonna skip hand raising. Hey, Mike, I have a quick question. I'm actually sitting here modifying my Xcode themes to get larger fonts, which is helpful for me as a low vision person. I was
Sure.
wondering if that was something that you had done or that you could talk about, because it looks like there's a bunch of different places to go to make changes for this.
So in Xcode, in Xcode 26, I'm going to bring up my settings here. You'll probably do a lot of that stuff under, let me find it. I think I opened the wrong thing.
Under
here.
themes.
Yeah, it'd be under themes. Cancel. Let's see. It should be under themes. And then, where is it? So I'm under themes, and then it has plain text, and then you could change the color. And I think you can click on there's a little, I think it's like a folder icon. I don't know if that's where you go to change the font size, but it should be there.
Anyway, I was just wondering if you had done this and if you had a list of all the places to go, because some of it happens under themes. There's a bunch of different fonts under themes that you can change.
Right.
And then some of it is done under system settings. And I think that I'm looking at a big Google page, a Google results page that's telling me a lot about this. But I was just sort of wondering if this is something that you had to do. And in the same way that Taylor is talking about how to make VoiceOver happy, I was wondering if you had any good outlines of how to make text, how to make larger text for all of it.
So
Because I
what
was
I've
hoping I
seen,
could just go into accessibility settings on the Mac and set the font size to be bigger, which I did do, but it didn't really have much effect inside of Xcode until I started working with Xcode
So-
themes and stuff.
if you pick, so do you like a dark theme or a light theme?
Dark.
So one that I highly recommend, if you go under themes, you can pick there's a drop down, and there's one called Presentation Large Dark.
Oh, okay.
And that one is huge.
Okay, so rather than editing the default theme, just go pick a new. You're suggesting picking a new theme.
Right.
Okay. Right. And
Yep.
are there places where that does not increase font size, or does that take
Uh,
care of most of it
That does change your font size when you change that.
for everywhere in Xcode?
No, just in the editor. If
okay.
you want to change like the whole, you'd have to change the rest of the UI in system settings.
Okay, but like Xcode, there's the source editor, but Xcode also has a toolbar and menus
Right.
and navigators and stuff like that. And it looks like those things I can change their font size, but they're all kind of in different places.
I believe they're in different places. There's also the appearance, now under general, and then there's I believe, let's see. So under navigator size, like there's use system
Right,
value.
exactly. Right.
You could change those things there. So
Okay.
I think that's the only things that you can really change is under that appearance section.
Okay, thank you.
Mhm. Okay, I haven't looked in here a while. Well, there's a lot of stuff. Okay. Any other questions?
Benton has
And
his hand raised.
sorry, macOS does have the Zoom accessibility settings as well.
Okay. Fenton.
Hey, how does the IDE work with saving content? Do I need to be afraid of touching something and all of a sudden it saves it when I don't want it to? As I'm going through these settings change,
So
is it actively saving my project somehow?
if any change you make is automatically saved in Xcode. So if you change a checkbox or a radio button or a version or a build number, it is automatically saving anything you do. Any line of code you type is the Apple platforms use autosave. So keep that in mind that any change that you do will be automatically saved.
Okay, so if I press something accidentally, I cannot change it back to what it was then?
You can try undo and hopefully that will work.
Where's
So
my undo then?
Command Z.
Oh, okay.
Okay.
Thank you.
All right. We got 3 minutes. Any last minute questions?
You've got a chat, and it's somebody asking about they don't want to come off mute because background noise for them, but they're asking about why would somebody want to have an app because of upside down or with upside down orientation? And they're asking, is that like for games or something else specifically? So
So
they're
on the
just wanting a little
iPhone,
clarification.
on the
Clarification.
iPhone, on the iPhone, you would not want to do upside down unless you're doing a game. But on iPad, the iPad's designed to use in any orientation. So it would be fine to select that for the iPad, but typically not for the iPhone.
Alrighty.
Okay. Well, folks, that's going to do it for today. We'll be back next week for the third class, which we're going to cover the use of the signing and capabilities area. That's going to be very important. We're going to cover how to create actual playgrounds, how to add files to a project, and we're going to cover troubleshooting, and we're going to cover the issues, our navigator and rotor and those things. And we're going to cover the last bits of Xcode that we have not covered since in the other two, this class and last week. We'll finish up Xcode, and then the week after that, we will have you start to code in blank files. So it's very exciting. I hope you guys will join us on that. And Taylor will be creating the quiz for this week to see how much you've retained. And feel free to ask questions in the stream for Classroom. Feel free to ask questions, to us by email. And Taylor will announce when she wants to do office hours. And I feel like we've gone through a lot of material here, folks. So again, thanks Taylor for driving. Thanks Becky for hosting. And we'll see you all next week.
Have a good week.
Have a great week.